I guess that means the podcast is rolling.
There was a time when I was in a hurry as you are. I was like you. There was a
Aww. You're just glowing over there with this decision that you made
Yes, I am.
for your comeback podcast.
It is a comeback.
Oh
podcast.
my goodness gracious. Welcome everyone to I Already Told You That.
Yes, welcome.
You were going to say that you did?
I'm like, I'm sorry. I just noticed that the playlist was a little weird. I didn't mean to. Yeah, I have. I've definitely done it before. Sorry.
Now, you aren't the only one that told me about this. No. You're making it easy on me this week. Taking it easy, soft landing back into the podcasting
Well,
scene.
the thing is, I can still already tell you about this. I think I can.
All right, good.
And yeah, it's important to me to do this one.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Well, it's important to me too. It's always, every single podcast episode we've ever done together is the most important thing to me, Melissa.
I'm glad
Please
to hear
know
it.
that.
I'm glad to hear it.
So, I ask you, how are you, Melissa?
I'm pretty good.
Good.
You know, I got to listen to music all week again to prepare for this, so it made me happy. I don't know. I'm a mixed bag, you know?
Well, I mean,
I'm
we've
all
been
over
on
the
a bit of a
place.
break.
We
Have you
have
just
been on a
been
break.
sitting over there in that chair listening to music the whole time?
Yeah, the whole time. Well, not in this chair, other chairs. Yeah, we've been, having a summer break. I'm sure everyone's having a little bit of a summer and
Hopefully,
Yeah.
having a summer.
having a nice time.
Kids are getting ready to go back to school. Everybody's getting ready to go back to work.
If some
Or you
people
probably
work
already-
year round, Brian.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I know. Teachers, they got weird
Oh.
perspectives. But anyway, yeah, I'm happy. How about you?
I am pretty happy as well. Yes, summer is ostensibly over for me because the work week picks back up. It's just so hard, really,
It is.
to have, a whole summer off and then have to go back to work. It's
No
just really
one's-
not fair,
no one's
honestly.
sympathizing with you
it's
at
it's
this
really
point.
not that fair. But yeah, lovely. The weather is nice. It's sunny outside. We did have a nice break, and we took a long road trip. At times, it did. If we closed our eyes, it almost felt like we were on tour, Melissa. I've said this to you a couple times.
Yeah.
Because it was a furious day of driving. Not furious in the sense we were angry. Furious in the sense we were trying to get somewhere.
Yes.
And then getting to that place and like kind of setting up for a minute and then riding bikes around and being like, oh, this is a new town. What's happening here? Let's look around. Oh, look at that. That's cool. Let's sit down. Okay, let's get back in the car and go to the next place.
Yes. We went to Scandinavia.
We did. Via Austria, Czech Republic, Germany, Denmark, Sweden. Well, I guess those are the Norwegian parts. I'm just saying,
yeah,
before we actually
Scandinavia.
got to the Scandinavian parts, they're the Norwegian part, the
It's-
Scandinavian
they are
parts.
well. They are all Scandinavian. That's so.
I know,
yeah.
but Germany and Czech Republic
no,
are
I'm
not.
talking about the destination.
the tip
Yeah,
tops.
the destination.
Yeah, it was lovely, beautiful, wonderful places. Hope
Mm-hmm.
to get to go back and visit all of them again, and with more time dedicated to
yes.
those locations.
It was a little quick.
Highly recommend them to anybody. Norway is unbelievably beautiful. Saw lots of waterfalls
I did.
and beautiful landscape.
And very nice people.
And very nice people
Super
and
nice.
lovely food.
Yes.
So
Anyway.
that was fun. And then since then, we've been, mucking around here.
Yeah.
Got some new records, listened to some new stuff. Mm-hmm. Some good things happening.
But we don't talk about new stuff on this podcast.
No, that's true.
And it's been a little while. But, you're two little little bit too busy in the summer, and we're going to try to be more consistent. But, when work starts back up, it's difficult. But, we're coming up on 2 years, if I already told you that,
That's
this November,
insane.
which is crazy business.
That's completely insane. Although I will say, whenever you listen to podcasts and you're like, I just can't believe it's amazing. Like, you
We're
mean
not that podcast.
the time-space continuum continued and you continued?
I put one
guess,
foot in front of the other.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, I guess it is an accomplishment. And much to your credit, Melissa, you've continued to hold the torch and continue
Not as consistently.
But that's okay.
But still.
okay.
Yeah.
Gotta
We're still
have a
happy to
little-
get back into it.
little break.
But something happened last week that caused me pause. And definitely was immediately like a huge light bulb went off. And I was like, you know what you got to do? Because Bryan, usually when something kind of major happens to someone and around us that's musical, what do I usually do? I usually kind of go into like playing a ton of their music. Didn't you think it was strange that I wasn't doing that?
Now that you mention it, I do think it's strange.
I was doing it. And it was
Just not
difficult
around
for
me.
me. It was difficult for me to hold out because this is what I'm thinking of as a celebration of life. And that's what I want to do. And this is not music that we usually cover, and I already told you that.
True.
Not this type. But I was happy to see that a whole bunch of things that I follow on the social medias that are like alternative music kind of like, and like retro music kind of things, all paid tribute. And we're like, I'm sorry, but still going to be mentioned. And I was like,
Yeah.
you know what? And it gave me permission to be like, it's definitely being mentioned. So, because it's, we make this podcast so we can do what we want. So
That's
we're going to talk about it. So who do you think that, so Bryan, at the beginning of the podcast, Bryan hears music and he doesn't know who we're going to talk about. And I think at first I did see a look of like, I don't know what this is.
No.
Who
Nope.
are we talking about today?
Someone who at a very early age had an impact on me, as I'm sure many 10
Especially
and
of our age.
12-year-old boys of a certain age who grew up in the 80s. Mrs. Let's work it out. Miss Olivia Newton-John.
Yes, we're going to talk about Olivia Newton-John. And the question,
Lovely.
Yes.
Well done.
Thank you. I'm excited to do it.
So am I. I'm excited to listen.
So the question is, have you ever been mellow?
Are you kidding me? Are you even kidding me?
And my answer is, well, yes, I have indeed. So, her music is always, she touches a couple different really big key areas for me, which
Okay.
is when I was young. I mean, it was, we were born in the 70s, you and I.
Yes.
And I think most people who were born in the 70s were very much impacted by this artist, of course.
I would think so.
And I really love musicals. So her work also in musicals also impacted. So it was like a double whams, But my earliest memories of listening to music by myself were listening to Olivia Newton-John. Like I remember either in kindergarten or first grade, I had a cassette player. It wasn't a Walkman because they didn't have those yet. I don't recall people having it was 1980, 79, something like that. I don't remember people having like headphones on then.
Right.
But I remember I had like a tape recorder, like our little, like just like a regular tape recorder.
The rectangle tape
Yes.
recorder or the top loader, like with the square.
Yes. And I had one of her cassettes. I'm pretty sure it was physical, in there. And during recess or like when kids were playing, I was like hidden behind a tree listening to the Dolphin song, which is the last song on that record, because she was also an activist and she was upset about the killing of dolphins. And so there's dolphin noises and her singing and this beautiful thing. And I would be brooding over in the corner instead of playing a Foursquare. That's what I was doing.
I thought you were going to tell me you were walking around boombox style, like with it up on your shoulder.
That would be so much cooler.
Hey, everybody.
I thought it was super. I mean, I wasn't playing it quietly. I thought it was really cool. Unfortunately, the audio, because of the type of device I was using, was like, it was really bad, But
Yeah.
I didn't, I wasn't very highbrow.
This wasn't a
back then.
Sony we're talking about here. This is like some crappy
But that's
Emerson.
my earliest Olivia Newton-John.
That's pretty
connection.
good.
What's yours, Bryan?
I want to say a lot of my early music listening happened in the car with my mother going to the grocery store, typically, or some other errand around suburban St. Louis. And she had a small supply of tapes. I think we've talked about before, she's Kenny Rogers. She had several Kenny Rogers. The affable Neil Diamond, of course, Billy Joel, and Olivia Newton-John. So I'm pretty sure she had Let's Get Physical on tape or something like that.
She probably had other things too, yeah.
Or like, yeah, something. So I definitely remember listening to it in the car with my mother on tape. And I remember distinctly listening to it and then getting to the grocery store and wanting to sit in the car to continue listening to it and her explaining to me how tapes work.
Yeah.
It's going to stop. When we come back, it'll be right there where we stopped it. So yeah, and then I guess at some point there was, this must have been before MTV, or she just had physical. The video was on television somehow, because I remember watching it and being highly we'll
excited. Remind me about the video element of that record.
I will. Don't you worry.
There's important parts to it, but we need the reason. Also, we're talking about her. Unfortunately, she did pass this week, and I didn't say that. Sadly. I don't think. If you didn't know, I'm sorry to be the one that has to tell you this. But I am a big believer in when someone dies, diving in and enjoying the things that they made, and that's what I want to do. In, like I said, a celebration of her musical life. So we're gonna do that.
Let's do it.
But one of the reasons also that you know her and I know her and everyone knows her is that she is. I don't know if you know, she was British born. She was born near Cambridge.
Okay.
In Cambridge, I think. And then she moved to Australia when she was 6.
Okay.
But she's a songwriter that's had 26 studio albums.
Wow.
Singer-songwriter. And is the 44th most successful artist of all time. She's sold more than 100 million records worldwide, and for like the last part of this era, she's one of the best-selling artists of all time. So that's why we know who she is, Brian. That's why we're aware of it. And also, her first, I think how many? I think like her first. There's like at least 6 of her records that were like in the top 10.
Double platinum status.
So, it's going to leave an impression.
She's got a good voice, Melissa.
And that's also the thing. So she's been performing since she was about 14. She was in a girl group, and then they would play at coffee shops, I think, and things like that. And then I got some of this from Wikipedia, some of this from my brain. And then she was on a lot of Australian television, and I'm not going to get into all of that.
Yeah.
If you want to get in that wormhole, Wikipedia is there for you. The important entry, though, that happened, she was pretty known at that point on, in an Australian television show, singing kind of circles. Okay. But when in 1965, she entered a talent contest on a TV show that was called Sing, Sing, Sing.
Okay.
And she won. And she sang Everything's Coming Up Roses, the Ethel Merman song.
Okay.
And she also sang If Anyone Had a Heart.
Okay.
Anyone had a heart, that song. And she won. And she won a trip to Great Britain, but she didn't take it at first. She was reluctant to go.
Huh. And
then her mom kept pushing her to go. And so finally she did. And when she got to England, she did end up recording a single on Decca Records that is, you can't really find, but I found it on YouTube Music. So we're going to listen to it. So her very first single is a cover of a Jackie DeShannon song. Okay. It's called sorry, I can't see my little note. Till You Say You'll Be Mine. Would you like to hear it?
Till You Say You'll Be Mine.
And it came out in 1966.
Let's hear it. Pretty 1960s sounding right there.
I also like it. Kind of has that, Sorry, the sound quality is a little off, but it's out of print, so you got to do what you can do.
Someone's third-hand recording into a YouTube.
But I appreciate it. I like that it sounds like girl bands, like
totally.
From the 60s, and this is definitely, she didn't start putting out albums until the 70s, so it's nice to hear like young,
super early,
stuff. But I really like the B side to the song. I want you to hear that.
Oh,
and it is called "Forever."
I'll admit it to you. I don't know what to do. Maybe I'll find someone new. I'll still be in love with you forever. I'll love you forever, but don't come near me. I just can't stand the way you look at me with eyes that hold no love. I want you, I need you, I love you.
Aw, listen to that.
That's my first part of the podcast I meant to mention. I'm sorry.
That definitely deserves one. So I imagine she's singing her own backups there?
Yes,
Like
yes,
she's
yes,
doubling her
yes,
voice?
Yes.
Yeah, that's nice.
Isn't that beautiful? So she got some attention for that, but I don't know the exact details of when she got a record deal, but she didn't get a record deal with Decca. That was just
Okay.
a one-off thing.
So this is the result of her winning that contest. She goes to the UK and they're like, hey, let's record some songs.
I'm not really totally sure. I think she, like I said, I can't really remember.
Got
I'm more
it.
interested in the songs that were made. at
Of
that point.
course.
But I do have another little weird note, though. And this is another kind of rare thing that I put in here because I thought it was interesting. She, right after that single happened, she was invited to be a part of this project that was a science fiction musical. And it was called Too, like T-O-O, Morrow. And it's a science fiction musical. And she was in it as well as sang in it. So I do definitely need to find this movie someplace and see where it is. I don't know how I'm going to find it. But I did find a song. It's the only song she sings completely. It's mostly someone else, a male singing the most of the soundtrack,
Okay.
and you can hear her in the background.
Okay.
This one, she is prominently features, and it's called Going Back.
Go back to the sweet and simple days. Going back to that cheerful little place. Going back through time, back through space. Going back. Do you remember when we had such fun? Playing all those happy games in the sun. We didn't have to.
Oh, that's nice.
I meant to give you like a little bit of a pre, which is like basically, from what I can tell, because I've listened to the song a couple times now, this is a song about being in space and missing the old times.
So we're going back.
Yes. Through space.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, you're in the future and you're like, oh, this is kind of lame. Let's go back.
I enjoyed.
Yeah, those are good sounds.
So
I
those
like
are some
warm tones of
There's
the
some tracks you
late
might not
60s.
hear other places. So, and always, if you're new to this podcast and you're tuning in because you want to remember Olivia with us, hello, thanks.
Hey.
And also know that I always make. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
don't mistake this as we doing something. I'm sorry. Melissa
I
makes...
make a playlist. So all this music that you're hearing, you can listen to and have fun and listen to the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it's on YouTube Music, which I would recommend over Spotify because it's going to have the more rare stuff. I'm not going to be able to find that on Spotify. So
Take
listen
that,
to
Spotify.
the YouTube Music mix. But then she does get her first album. And this album, it's funny, when you look at her discography, it's not always mentioned as the first album because I think, like most things, the second album would encompass some of that, so.
Right.
And this was only released in the UK. And in the UK, it was called Olivia Newton-John. But I think in Australia, it was called If Not For You.
No.
And I wonder what the title track, where that comes from.
Don't know.
But let's listen to it.
If not for you, babe, I couldn't even find the door. I couldn't even see the floor. I'd be sad and blue. If not for you, if not for you, babe, the night would see me wide awake. The day would surely have to be.
Fantastic.
Did you know that she did that song?
I did not.
That song is originally by Bob Dylan, and then George Harrison also did it. But I did
my
look it
God.
up. It is Bob Dylan originally.
Yes.
So this record is mostly covers, and I meant to mention it came out in November 1971.
Okay.
And it's going to start this relationship she has a long time. The producer is named John Farrar,
Okay.
and it's like Farrar. So
Farrar.
Farrar, and he was married to one of her best friends from childhood, who she was also did duets with. Her name was Pat Carroll.
Okay.
They met a long time ago when she was very young in Australia, and she wasn't super happy in England at first when she was there, and then Pat came over, and then they formed like a little duo, and they performed before this record came out.
Okay.
So, but her husband was the producer, and he writes a lot of the songs that she's going to be doing, although a lot of it's covers. So this album is almost entirely covers.
Right. That's a way to get yourself noticed and
I think back then
sing
that was
songs that are provenly good.
I think that was pretty common back in the day for.
Well, Elvis Presley
Yeah.
sang a lot of covers.
Exactly.
That guy.
I know.
There's a lot of people that do that and make a whole career out of it.
But so this album didn't really get any much airplay in the U.S., but it did do okay in the U.K. Mm-hmm. And then it was followed not very long after by Olivia in 1972.
Okay.
And this song I put on here, and I'm not sure, like when I looked at the track listing, this was the only one that had her listed as a writer.
Okay.
And it's called Changes.
Changes.
Not that one.
Oh, not that one.
We've said a million times we change. Can't bring myself to say those words again. A piper never changes tune. You can't grow apples on the moon.
What does that mean?
You can't grow apples on the moon,
It's
Brian.
very true.
You sure can't.
So changes.
What do you
That's
think about that?
beautiful.
Isn't that
Oh my
beautiful?
gosh, that's lovely.
And also for those of you who maybe haven't listened to this before, we just are going to get into, well, not all of her records, but we're going to cover quite a few.
Okay.
Until the one that you were mentioning earlier.
Yes.
We're going to go to Physical. And there's quite a few before that. So
Wow.
I hope you're ready. But I think
Oh.
it's nice to kind of get an idea of what she was up to leading up to all those things that we
Yeah.
were probably a little bit more aware of at our age. But also, what kind of vein do you think this music is to you? Like when you hear it, what kind of genre would you put it in?
I mean, that was kind of folky, but it was kind of, what are the music genres of the late 60s, early 70s? It's not really rock and roll because it's very acoustic and quiet and sweet. Song, I don't know. What would you call it?
She's definitely what they say country pop.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I guess she's more in the country vein
I think is what they're saying.
and pop vein.
So this next record definitely
Therefore,
does
country
that.
pop.
So 1973, she came out with "Let Me Be There,"
Okay.
and let me remind you of what that song is.
Wherever you go, wherever you may wander in your life, surely you know I'll always want to be there, holding your hand and standing by to catch you when you fall, seeing you.
It's pretty country.
Yes, very much.
Brown, as we used to say back in the old Mideast, in the Mideast.
You were in the Mideast?
They were in the Mideast.
No, in the Midwest.
In
You'd
the
say what?
Midwest, we call country music brown music.
Why did you call it that?
It just seems brown.
like the color of a cowboy hat or
Yeah, and leather and
Yeah, okay.
plaid and things like that were
Weird.
associated with it. Dirt.
something? Okay.
It's pretty brown.
Well, with this record, she broke into the U.S. country pop.
I'm
situation.
sure she did.
Yes. It was a huge deal. And you know why? Because this chorus right here, which we're about to listen to.
Okay.
Seeing you through in everything you do. Let me be there in your morning. Let me be there in your night. Let me change whatever's wrong and make it right. Let me take you through that wonderland that only two can share. All I ask.
Oh, yeah. I could see a stadium full of, or an auditorium full of beehived-haired individuals singing along to that.
I
always love that they have
like the background
the
vocal?
super bass.
I'm pretty sure it's John Farrar. I need to look at it.
yeah.
He does a lot of the background vocals on her stuff, but I would have to like their stuff. So I need to look and see for sure. But I know he does a lot of background vocals.
That is a big feature of 80s.
Do you understand what she's
country.
saying in there? That's my favorite part of what she's saying. She's saying, "Let me take you to that wonderland that only two can share. All I ask you is let me be there." I'm like, well, if only two people can share it, why is he in this wonderland by himself? Yeah.
Well, because you have a choice of who you can go to the Wonderland with, Melissa,
That's
I
true.
believe. So she's saying,
let me
choose
be there.
me.
And
to
why
go to
would
the
you not?
Wonderland.
I mean, come on.
Exactly.
And this next song is still on the same record, and it's another one that said Olivia Newton-John on it, and I need to do more. But there's not that many that you actually see where she gets credit, so I wanted to definitely highlight those. So this one is called Rosewater.
Yes. Change once again.
Well, also the thing we need to mention too that I failed to mention is another big part of her appeal was country pop, but then it was also easy listening.
Oh, for sure.
Which is kind of a bad word for me, so I don't like to say it. But easy listening was definitely so prevalent when I was young that I couldn't help but seep into my ears and stick in there. There's certain artists that I will not fault.
Right.
I will not fault the Carpenters. I will not fault the Bee Gees, and I will not fault Olivia Newton-John.
Very good. That foot has firmly been placed.
I just won't.
I appreciate that.
And I can get pretty snooty about the rest of what was going on. I can promise you. I wasn't down with the whole situation. But you leave those people alone.
Yeah, no, they're good.
Genuinely talented, great voices. And
they just got pigeonholed by...
and sincere is
the
all
monetization.
Get out.
Yeah.
So sincere.
Yeah.
So I just think, as definitely as someone who loves counterculture and knows that that's always been this thing where people like to kind of throw at. I just think that those artists in particular need to be left alone.
Counterculturist. This is where Melissa
leave them alone.
This is where Melissa apologizes for
I don't
not
apologize.
being...
This is where I put my foot down. Like I said, I've heard Johnny Lydon go on and on about the Bee Gees.
Okay.
So, it's
so
okay.
there's bona fide weirdos that think it's okay.
It's okay.
All right. Good. Now that we've got that
It's
sorted
allowed.
out.
I just want you to know it's allowed. But
it's good, Melissa. That's why. It was
It's
people,
universal.
I'm going to get on my soapbox. It's people trying to make money off of radio stations, so they have to come up with a name or a type of music, and they're like, you can listen to this. It's easy listening. And then
it's also
got
means
associated with, boring
quiet.
people.
It means you can put it on and it's not going to offend you. Or
Right. It's going to be nice.
It's going to be nice.
It's going to be okay.
But sometimes I'd want it to be
nice.
easy.
It's nice.
But anyway.
It's good.
But then, Brian, in 1974, she came out with the record Long Live Love. And the title track from that record, I found this very interesting, was she performed that title track at the Eurovision 1974 contest in the UK.
Nice.
Let's listen to it, and then we'll talk about where she placed. Has that Eurovision feel to it.
It does.
For sure.
And the message as well.
Yeah, it's good to know that that's what it was, because I've heard that song before and I never knew that. I was like, oh, that totally makes sense. And a lot of the tracks on this record were also included. But yes, she performed on behalf of the UK as their person. She did not win, but do you know who she lost to?
ABBA.
Waterloo.
Oh,
that
wow.
same
That's
year.
tough. Yeah.
Yeah, they were number one. She was fourth though. But yeah, you can't. I
Nice.
mean, sorry,
That's a tough
That's
one.
a toughie. But I think if she had a different song, if she had done a different song, perhaps maybe.
And I'm sure the ladies in ABBA were looking at her like, I bet we could do that. Because they had good voices, and she's doing
They
this by
do.
her.
I think they're a harmony group.
I know, but here she's doing this on her own. Because their voices can be similar, those two. Like, as I'm listening to this, it can be very ABBA-ish in some
Well, I think that
cases.
particular that way they were just saying that's that Eurovision feel, and ABBA is so Eurovision.
Totally.
So I think that's why.
Totally. Oh, my
But
God.
this song is once again, all the records so far you're hearing mostly covers. Still,
Right.
Not that song though. That song was written. It was not a cover. This one you're going to recognize, but I'm going to say the name of it, and then you should probably already know. But this is "God Only Knows."
I may not always love you, but long as there are stars above you, there'd be no need to doubt it. I'll make you so sure about it. God only knows what I'd be without you.
I don't know that I love that version.
Love Olivia. That one could have been left on the cutting
know,
room floor.
I wanted to play it because I love Brian Wilson. So I was like, interesting.
It's
I didn't
hard
know.
to improve on that song, or
Yes.
if you're going to do an exact copy of it, don't do an exact copy of it because you can't.
Yeah, it's a harder one, but I definitely wanted you to hear because I haven't really played most of like the cover stuff that's happening on these
They might have
records. So I
needed
wanted
a
to hear little
filler, and they're like,
Hey.
I know you can do this one.
bit. I can see how you feel that way, but this one that I'm going to play, this is going to be the last one I play from this record, is not a filler. This one is called "I Honestly Love You."
Maybe I hang around here a little more than I should. We both know I got somewhere else to go. But I got something to tell you that I never thought I would. But I believe you really ought to know. I love you. I honestly love you.
Nice.
Saddest song.
But she honestly loves someone.
She does.
She just wants them to know.
Yes, it's very, very sad.
For real.
Don't you feel like that's a pretty sad song?
No, I think it's like it's a true show of deep emotion for another Melissa.
Oh,
I didn't see it as sad at all.
good,
She's telling it how it is.
good,
She loves him.
great.
Or whoever.
So, Brian, the
Yes.
song we started with, we're about to come back to because
Okay.
in February 1975, the first Heart of the Podcast record came out. She came out with "Have You Ever Been Mellow?" Which is the first song we played, and I'd like to play a little bit more of it for you.
Okay. Wait a second. You just said first heart of the podcast, which is not true.
Oh, you're right. I had a single that I really liked.
Second
I said
heart.
album, first album, Heart of the Podcast.
It's making sure I'm tracking the hearts.
You're right.
I skipped
a beat. Sorry.
I got the heart chart over here.
Here you go. Have you ever been mellow?
There was a time when I was in a hurry as you are. I was like you.
Yeah.
Makes the hair stand up on the back of your
Doesn't
neck,
it?
Melissa. It's
But it gets...
lovely.
But then this is going to be one of those times I'm going to do it 3 different times. We're
Oh,
going to go up on this song.
okay.
Let's go up again.
There was a day when I just had to tell my point of view. I was like you. Now I don't mean
going to keep it there.
She's just going to keep going on up and up.
I think. But the thing about it so far is I do want to just go right back into this, but I do want to say her voice is so clean sounding and right up here. It's right in your, it's so nice listening to it on headphones. Once again, as I always say, I highly recommend. Put some headphones on and listen to her sing. I can hear, I'm amazed I can't hear any mouth noises though. It's amazing.
Well, they probably had.
Right in there.
Yeah.
But we got to hear the climactic chorus of this song.
Of course.
Ready? Let's go.
Have you never been mellow? Have you never tried to find a comfort from inside you? Have you never been happy just to hear your song? Have you never let someone else be strong?
Goosebumps. Goosebumps everywhere.
That's
I
fantastic.
put on there John Farrar home run because he wrote that one. Dude, beautiful. Such a beautiful, beautiful thing. Because especially, I think at that point, this is, how many records now we covered? Probably like the fourth or fifth that they've done. And fourth, I think. It's just, you really get to know someone, especially he's producing all these records and he's writing some of it. And I just feel like, and there's another gentleman too, I think his name is Bruce Welch, that's also involved, who's her romantic partner in his, but also involved in this as well as songwriter and producing and playing on the records. I just feel like you get to have this intimacy with a person where you really know. And I feel like in that song, the way he wrote it, you could tell what he knew what she could do. And it meshed. It did what it was supposed to do. It mind melded. It's like, no, that's what you need to do. That's what needs to be happening. So home run.
Nicely
Beautiful.
done.
And then, speaking of Bruce Welch, he wrote this song, which is called Please, Mr. Please, which is also gorgeous.
In the corner of the bar there stands a jukebox with the best of country music, old and new. You can hear your 5 selections for a quarter.
It's so funny because it starts off, speaking of Gordon Lightfoot, which we always do, it starts off very Gordon Lightfoot in the beginning of that.
With the jangly guitar.
Yeah, like it's just like very, but this next part, the chorus, is the jewel. Let's go back up.
I got good Kentucky whiskey on the counter, and my friends around to help me ease the pain, till some button-pushing cowboy plays that love song, and here I am just missing you again. Please, mister, please, don't play B-17. It was our song, it was his song.
Aw.
It's goosebumpy again.
Please don't play number 17.
She's saying like there was a song that her and her previous person had
Yes.
that was their song. She doesn't want to.
She couldn't hear it.
She can't hear it.
Some button-pushing cowboy.
Comes in there and pushes that. This is funny because do you remember, like, not to be like, play Do You Remember, but we're going to play Do You Remember. And Do You Remember is when I was a kid and you go into a diner, because I lived in New Jersey, and you go into a diner, they did have like push button things. But the crazy thing is it was on the table, which they had them for a while, like in a kitsch kind of way. So they went basically into the 90s, if I remember correctly, in some places.
Sure.
But it was kind of annoying because like you could play music and like you could hear everyone else doing it too. So it wasn't like individual. I preferred it when it was just a jukebox, which they did have those a lot of the time too.
Yeah, sure.
But just remember how much of it was like you got really excited to put on like 3 songs because you knew everyone was going to hear those 3 songs.
And they were the ones you
were
picked.
going to hear those 3 songs.
Yes.
It's so funny.
And everybody looked at you and be like, good choice, buddy.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah, there was a
I already know
bar
mine.
in college that had it was kind of like a country bar, and it was out in the middle of nowhere. And we used to go out there because they had shuffleboard, like the tabletop shuffleboard and cheap beer. and a jukebox. And it was that kind of thing. Like you put a quarter in and get 3 plays or whatever. And that was a fun thing to
I
go
can
do.
tell you my 3 plays that I used to play.
What'd you
wanna hear
play?
it?
Let's have it.
I would play When the Doves Cry by Prince.
Okay.
And I would play Terence Trent D'Arby, Sign Your Name.
Sign your name across my...
I love that song because it's so sad. And then I think definitely Eurythmics probably, I would say it would be Here Comes the Rain Again or something like that. It would definitely be the ones. But I know always Prince When the Doves Cry because I love the way it would do that beginning there. And everyone would just be like, yeah, come on.
It's good.
It's a good way to start it. Then you bring it down with Terrence.
You giving me your full...
It's all sad. You notice it's all sad music?
Well, and you must be getting a fairly up-to-date jukebox.
No, I'm just saying that's the last times I remember doing it.
Yeah.
They definitely had those songs.
Yeah.
Because I know once I was at a music conference with a band I was in, and I was in a thing like that, and it was like we had played, and I was in a club that had
a jukebox,
and it was in '96, and I played Terence Trent D'Arby, and an A&R rep came over to me, and he was like, I love this song or something like that. And I was like, me too. And
I think the nice thing about that too is it depends on where you're at.
Yeah.
Because some places would not have those songs in it. They would just all have country music
it depends.
or,
like if
R&B.
you're going to like, so what did you put in? What were your 3?
Well, this bar that we went to that had this jukebox was mostly country music. So like Willie Nelson would get played, Johnny Cash. They might have a Neil Young in there that I would probably play. Something like that.
But you're not telling me the songs. So
I don't know, Melissa, because I don't know songs. I just look at me like, oh, that one looks good.
Okay.
Probably.
Thanks
I mean,
for
if
the
it's Neil
description.
Young, it would be something early.
Yes.
As we go back and listen to Neil Young, so everybody can hear exactly what songs.
You can
I
hear
think are
Brian
good.
talking about it. He knows the songs.
Back then.
Okay. So then in 1975, same year, so she released Have You Ever Been Mellow in February. And then in September of 75, she came out with Clearly Love. And this song is called Crying, Laughing, Loving, Lying.
Crying never did nobody no good, no how. That's why I don't cry. That's why I don't cry.
Lovely.
Beautiful.
Fantastic.
I wanted to say too, there was some controversy. I read about this on Wikipedia, and I didn't know this, but so she was getting very popular in country music charts in the U.S.
Yeah,
at this point,
sure.
doing very well. And I think she moved. I can't remember what year she moved, but at some point she moves from England to the U.S. Mm-hmm. And it gets even more crazy. Mm-hmm. And she definitely appears on Solid Gold and all this stuff, all the stuff that we would have seen. But there was. In the U.S., the success that she was having in the country music sparked a debate among the purists of Nashville who thought it was not okay, which has happened to Shania Twain as well when she came into the... So we were like, hey, wait a second. You're not from here. You can't do this. So like they weren't happy that...
Some Australian
And
was
she
coming
won
in.
Female Vocalist of the Year in 74
Oh, dang.
in Nashville. She beat out Dolly Parton
Whoa,
and other
dang.
people. But Dolly can't win every year, y'all. And Tanya Tucker, she beat her. So like anyway, so it was a big controversy. But then so they kind of like tried to form this like alliance to kind of stop it. And eventually it chilled out. And Dolly's sister actually did a duet with her called like Ode to Dolly or something like that. So like everything was fine.
Everybody got
They
over
got
it.
it worked out. The songs like this next one are definitely in that vein. This one's called Let It Shine.
A woman needs attention like the flowers need the sun. Without that attention, well, a woman feels undone. Now I'm like a flower that's been standing in the rain, hoping and a praying that the sun would shine again. Is there anybody out there who can shine anytime?
I can see why they would be a little
and she sounds just like
agitated.
Dolly.
Oh yeah, very
That's what
much.
she sounds. But she's admitted she was definitely influenced by Dolly Parton.
But she's imitating her almost directly.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It is. I mean, it's a good song, but I can see why they'd be like, "All right, lady, back off.
Hey,
Go
but
back
it's also,
into
can
the
you tell me
pop."
that's not Olivia's voice?
It is, but it's vastly different than those other songs you hear that are in more of the kind of
Easy listening
pop realm.
Like, wait a second, stay over there.
That is straight on. Like, let's go get some of these country dollars. Just give a little boot scoot to it. Yeah.
But then, in February of '76, she came out with her seventh
Wait a second.
album. Yes.
February of 1976. It's a good year, Melissa. You had a
Oh,
good
sorry.
month.
The year you were born. The year the funny
Month.
thing is, I was born right. So I wanted to mention. You're reminding me is when "Have You Ever Been Mellow" came out. I was a month old,
Nice. So
and
you
it
were mellow.
seeped in. So yeah, Brian was born. In
The
76.
gauzy golden tones of 1975.
This record is called "Come On Over" and it's her seventh album. Just so you're kind of keeping track a little bit, and still
Jesus.
once again with John Farrar producing. And this song is called "Small Talk and Pride."
We never really had the chance to let each other know. We never really had the time to let our feelings show. Small talk kept us going when the only words to say were how I long to hold you. Pride locked the words away. I never had.
Now, I could see, I could see now that we're adults in our middle ages.
Yeah.
That we listen to that music and like, oh, isn't that nice? But when you're a teenager, you know, or
You don't think
know,
teenagers like this music?
I mean, I think they did. I just think the pushback against easy listening was it was like your parents' music. You wanted to listen to something that had a little more action to it.
I think there's always been that, though. You know, yeah. But I think you can do both. As you know, when we first started this podcast, we did an episode with Pat Benatar, who's not easy listening.
No.
So never mind. I take it back. I can't say that because she's not easy listening.
No, she's
not at all.
not.
No, not at all. This is the only easy listening we've approached. Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah. This
We
is
don't
pretty
usually.
easy listening.
We don't usually talk about it.
Yeah.
But like I said, much love
Props.
to Dame Olivia Newton-John.
I was gonna say, I
Yes,
thought
she's a
she
dame.
was
Yes.
was of royal blood.
No, you know how you get knighted.
That's what I mean. Aren't you in like the royal situation?
You
Once
get
you
in a
get
royal
that?
situation, I think,
Yeah.
once that happens. This song, so there's that record I just played as like I said, it's called "Come On Over," and I'm not as into that one.
Kind of seems like they're playing around trying to figure out like where can she fit.
I mean,
You know what I mean?
I
If
don't
they're
think it's
switching
just
up like that.
I think no. I mean, I think each record, if you were to listen to them in their entirety, has a mix of easy listening and country.
Okay.
So it's happening throughout the whole thing.
All right.
You're just hearing tidbits, so you're getting to, think of it
Yeah,
that way. But
yeah.
I promise that there's more of a blend.
Gotcha.
The next record, which is funny, I don't remember this one, but it's called "Don't Stop Believin'," and I was like, no. But it came out in October of '76, so no, don't have to worry about that. It's not what it is. But the song is called "Don't Stop Believing," and you'll see it's not the one we're thinking it is.
Okay.
You think the world should see things your way. Love, I know you. You think good fortune's here to stay. Love, I know you shine in everything you've tried before. Your smile can open any door.
So this song I do love. I just didn't know the record. I've heard this song many times on the radio, and you'll know by this chorus. Let's listen to a little bit more of "Don't Stop Believing."
On those days when nobody wants to know you, and all your smiles keep falling on stony ground. Don't stop believing. Don't stop believing. Don't stop believing. You'll get by.
That's a good one. That sticks in the old craw right there.
It does stick in the old craw. Mm-hmm. And so we're getting very close to like she's about to be even more of a megastar because something's about to happen.
Something's about to just blast off.
So there was a record between these two things, but I'm not as much of a fan of it, but I will mention it. It's called Making a Good Thing Better, and it came out of June of 1977. Mm-hmm. But then, Brian, June of 1978.
1978.
Grease happened.
Yes.
And
That's
if I
a big
really
thing.
think about it, I'm pretty sure Grease was my gateway to Olivia.
I'm sure it was for a lot of uninitiated.
Because I'm pretty sure it was shown on television by 1980.
Yeah, totally.
I think by 1980
That's where
it
I
was being
saw
shown.
it for sure.
And yeah, I've lost my mind.
Of course.
You know, so I did also have this soundtrack. I remember though, I would dress up as Cha-Cha with the scarf, and I'd wear a bathing suit, my cowboy boots, and I'd walk around with this Grease soundtrack. And,
On the same tape deck.
No,
tape
I didn't.
recorder we had earlier.
This was the album, so I didn't.
Oh.
I just wanted to walk around with the gatefold and be all excited about it.
I see.
So, when did you see Grease? What's your Grease experience?
Definitely on television. So it would have been on one of the major 3 networks, you know, where it was split across multiple nights. I don't know. I remember it being something my parents wanted to watch, and so I watched it, and there was a lot of singing in it, but it was fun.
And there was some naughtiness.
There was a little bit of naughtiness for sure, and it was like 1950s, you know, so.
It seemed very edgy to me as a child.
And I will also say, in somewhat relation, every year at my elementary school, there was a big music performance, usually at the end of the year, where each like grade would do a big kind of basically like a Broadway number, you know, with like choreography and things like that. And my older brother Rick, when he was in 8th grade, they did a scene from Grease.
Did he do something?
He was just one of the people in it.
Okay.
My memory's not good enough to know exactly what, but I know it was from Grease, and they were all dressed up like greasers and stuff. So I remember that fondly.
Oh, but yeah, I just think it's great. It's a great movie. It's a great soundtrack. And also everyone else agrees because it was the highest grossing film ever at the time.
Well, yeah.
And it was
Travolta's.
The second best-selling album of the year, but no, it was number 1.
Michael Jackson.
Saturday Night Fever.
There
So
you
John
go.
Travolta was double dipping. And so she had a lot of reluctancy about doing the movie because she was 28.
Uh-huh.
She's like, I'm supposed to play a high school
Teenager,
senior. I'm 28. So she insisted on doing a screen test with John Travolta, who she did not know at the time.
I can't imagine.
And she was happy. And she was like, okay. And they changed her character, I think, from being like an American to being an Australian.
Right.
So
She's
she didn't have to deal with it
student.
because she couldn't change her accent. She
Right.
couldn't do that. So, and also she was worried about it because of the Tomorrow experience, but didn't go well. The musical I talked about, the science fiction musical, didn't do so great.
Yeah.
So she was like scared of being like embarrassed
Sucked
of
into
it,
some
or like
annoying thing.
not have it be good. But anyway, obviously that's not how it worked.
So let
out.
me ask you this. This is a dumb question, but Grease was a movie.
Yes.
So it was a movie
musical
first. It was a musical first.
Yes. It was a Broadway musical first.
Okay.
Yes.
And then they did this version.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes. So let's listen to this song, which is my favorite song of the whole soundtrack, which is Hopelessly Devoted to You. And I did not know until I started doing research for this podcast that it was
the
written...
name of the song, Hopelessly Devoted to You, that I didn't know before we did this
sorry,
podcast?
Hopelessly Devoted to You.
Okay.
That is written by John Farrar.
Okay.
He wrote this song.
This guy.
This is definitely his best work ever. Like, I think he's great, but like this song. He said, and I have a quote from him that I'll read afterward. Let's listen to the song.
Guess mine is not the first heartbroken. My eyes are not the first to cry. I'm not the first to know there's just no getting over you.
Oh, don't worry. This is gonna be a 3-parter.
Of course.
No, actually, I'm just going to I thought about it, and I see now that I made a note. I X'd out, because in this song, there's 2 times that she does the build-up, and I think the second time she does it, is thrilling. So that's the one I'm going to play in a minute.
Okay.
But I did want to talk about, Farrar said that he spent the longest time writing the lyrics of any song he's ever written on this song because he used every thesaurus, every rhyming dictionary I had, just trying to really make it work. I just think it's such a beautifully sad, lamenting thing. I had a copy of this soundtrack, but I think it was like, no, I had a book to try to learn guitar, and I had the song in it. So it played instrumentally, and I would sing to this thing constantly. I'm sure I've done it many times for karaoke. I could not do it now. It was a younger range, but there's no, like, as far as like when singing is really fun, this is a very fun song to sing, even though it's very sad, because it just swells in really fun ways, as will be heard right now.
On to the end. That's what I intend to do. I'm hopelessly devoted to you. But now there's nowhere to hide since you pushed my love aside. I'm out of my head, hopelessly devoted to you. Hopelessly devoted to you. Hopelessly devoted to you.
So I'm wondering what part you're learning on the guitar. Is it just like jing, jing,
It was just
jing,
playing the
jing?
bass chords. It was like a beginning guitar book.
Yeah.
The funny thing too is I visioned when we did this, and I just realized it as we stopped playing it, is I thought for sure you and I would not be able to hold back and we'd both be singing.
You could have done it.
No. But
You
yeah.
want me to do it?
No.
Hopelessly devoted.
Don't do that right after that. But anyway, that's a two-harder. So great. Such a wonderful thing. And I'm pretty sure he's singing background vocals on that. Just wonderful. The whole soundtrack, great. Lovely.
That's it, huh? You're not going to do any of the big hits off of that
You
one?
know, I want to get back into her work, but that she also
Okay.
released that too, like as like a Olivia Newton-John, hopelessly devoted to you
Record?
kind of thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Gotcha.
Single. But then because of like she was already popular, then that happened.
Yeah, so she's
And then she came
now
out
a
with this
movie star.
record that's called Totally Hot. And she's like wearing leather on the cover. So a lot of people say that this was like a big change for her and like a big, And also I just want to say that I wasn't going to get into it too much, but I've done a lot of reading this week on her. And I was so disappointed with this article I read in the New York Times about her. The memorial was like, Olivia Newton-John is a very attractive person. We can
Yes.
talk about that. But it failed to mention, it was just like basically like his like 7th grade like vision of her was just like so mentioned about like seeing her shoulders and like, yeah, you can talk about it, but it was so not like followed up with like talking about her music that it bummed me out. And I was just
Yeah.
like, yes, I mean, you have a hard time talking about Olivia Newton-John without mentioning the fact that she's gorgeous. Of course she is.
Yes.
And does that help? Yes, it does. But she's extremely talented with her voice. So it just was one of those things like, yes, it's something that brings you in, but then let's talk about her singing maybe. So anyway, I'm going to link it, Brian, so you can read it. But
I think it
was
was
sad.
so iconic. I mean, the fact that because
the
of
transformation
at
from the virginal
time-
to the like more sexy Sandy was a big deal in that movie. That's
Yeah.
that's the whole thing,
Yeah.
She's
Well, I'm
gyrating her
just
hips
saying,
with John Travolta.
Not
It's
only
a
that,
lot.
I'm more saying physical. Like
Yeah, we'll
that
get into that in a
video,
minute. We'll get into
just like slayed. I mean, it's good.
Yeah. Well, that's coming up. That's coming up very soon. But we're going to get into Totally Hot, which came out in November of 78. And like I said, Grease came out in June of 78. So it's not going to be successful right after that. And on the cover, she's wearing this black leather, and it's just so much more, edgy than any cover before that she'd ever done. And so it was like she had transformed into the Sandy character at the end of the movie in real life.
Oh my God.
And this song, this has a heart and an arrow through it. This is probably my favorite Olivia Newton-John song.
Wow, we've already gotten here.
It's not, I mean, I have a few, but this is definitely up there. It's probably in the top 2. This one is called A Little More Love.
Night
this is a good one.
Yeah, and this is going to be a 3-parter. Starting the second part now.
Have to go home. No is a word I can't say, 'cause it gets me nowhere to tell you no, and it gets me nowhere to make you go. Will a little more love make you stop depending? Will a little more love bring a happy ending? Will a little more love make it right? Will a little more love make it right?
And you definitely hear the I think maybe Gibb was involved in this in some way, because you hear that Bee Gees influence on that.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah, they're
it's
getting
so
into
into it. But I'm here for every element of that. That is not a criticism. Bring it more in there, because the harmony on that, like how high she's up there, like it's just wow. And also, I think it's the first time she's really being edgy.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
it was just like very welcome to have her be just like, different.
Well, they clearly saw an avenue for a remaking of her.
I know, but
and-
you keep. I'm gonna say something. I'm gonna push back on this. Sometimes people just have like changes that happen.
That's
They
true.
want like to do something different. It
It's
isn't always
true.
a marketing ploy.
I know it's not a marketing ploy, but
She
yeah,
might have
I
been
guess
bored.
it's true.
She might have wanted to do something.
very
else. That's
true.
all. I'm
That's
not
very
trying
true.
to push back too much.
I
It's
hate
just,
to be so like capitalist about it, but
Yeah.
it does feel that way sometimes, just because music is there's a lot of money in it, and so people
Sure.
are thinking about like, well, how can we make this? How can we appeal to
But some
different
people are also just like thinking about
wanna
what
try
they
something
want to do.
different. Yeah, it's true.
You know what I
That's
mean?
true.
Like, yeah, I don't think Madonna was thinking about it. She's like, well, I wanted to do this because it's fun for me. Like, this is the thing I want to do.
That's true.
You know what I mean? And sometimes it's not good. And sometimes it is.
Sorry,
it
I'm
just
just a little
depends.
jaded, Melissa. Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I
Gosh.
just want to push back on that just a little bit because, of course she was hugely commercially successful.
Yeah.
I mean, she was doing something that was working. She could have kept doing
It's just
that.
when you watch music documentaries now about that time, it's just like, and then this guy came in and he changed everything around, and you learn about like record executives and people, and they're just slimy jackasses, and
know.
you're like, oh, that's why, and it sucks because you suck, and ugh.
I know, but you're coming at it at a jaded angle.
Yeah.
You could be totally right, but I'm not sure, so I don't want to speak to something I don't know.
Right.
That's all.
Nonetheless, lovely
We
song.
have no, we're not done.
Oh,
Here's a third part of A Little More Love.
A little more love make it right. Gets me nowhere to tell you no, and it gets me nowhere to make you go. Will a little more love make you stop depending? Will a little more love bring a happy ending? Will a little more love make it right? Will a little more love make it right? Gets me nowhere to tell you no.
Also, I think the brilliance of that song is they're like, we have a really good chorus. We're going to keep
Okay.
doing that chorus. And I
riding
agree
it
with
out.
that wholeheartedly. I think sometimes people are scared. They're like, well, we can't do it too many times. Do it the whole time. If it's that good, I have no problem with that. No issue. And but I wanted to play that section, and I should have preambled a little bit, is that she so loses her mind on that. And from previous
you
things.
are a big
And
fan.
that's the first time you hear Olivia lose it. Like she's being emotional there.
She
And
is.
she was emotional before in a sad way, but that was like in an angry way.
Yeah.
And like a no kind of way. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
whoa, okay, she's frustrated. And it's great. I
Yeah.
love
I do appreciate the rhythm section work in the songs. I've been listening to the drums. Got some nice do-do-do
Yeah.
happening in there.
Yeah. And I have, as I've said before on these mixes, I have more songs on the mix that I'm going to play because I can't play everything or I'm not going to get through things. But then she has another monumental thing that happens to her. Although the movie was not a great success, she does another movie in June of 1980, and
Wait,
it is Xanadu.
Grease isn't a big success?
No, it was. This next movie.
Ah, okay.
It was a success, but not critically.
Okay.
Xanadu,
Yes.
yes. Which is going to be a soundtrack that's going to come out, Brian, with one of my other favorite song by Olivia Newton-John,
Okay.
which is called Magic, which we're going to listen to right now. But the important thing to remember about that record is it's John Farrar and ELO. So one side is Olivia Newton-John, and with other people that are in the movie.
Okay.
And then on the other side, it's from the soundtrack from the films. And then the other side is ELO soundtrack parts from the film. And then the very last track is her and ELO coming together, which we will also play. So not a great movie, but still fun to watch. Highly entertaining for those of us who love Olivia Newton-John. I've watched it many times. Gene Kelly's in it. I don't know if you remember that.
No.
Yeah, as an older man, like it's still worth watching. You might be watching it later. So let's listen to a little bit of Magic, which is a double harder.
Come take my hand. You should know me. I've always been in your mind. You know I will be kind. I'll be guiding you.
Yeah.
So she's maybe migrating off of the easy listening stations into more sort of pop
I think this
situations.
this is definitely a super pop song. And it's magic.
It really is.
Let's go back up on some magic.
Your dream has to start now. There's no other road to take. You won't make a mistake. I'll be guiding you. You have to believe we are magic. Nothing can stand in our way.
Got some flange in there. Got some drums bouncing back and forth. It's
Also,
good
did you like the
stuff.
harmonics on the guitar when it started off? I never really noticed it until I
They're
was
like,
listening to the
yeah, that's cool.
I'm into it. This next part is I'm playing one more section of it because
my
you got to
gosh.
hear a little bit more of Magic's chorus.
You should just listen to the whole song,
I
guys.
can't do it, but you can. Please listen to all of her songs right after this. Ready? A little bit more Magic.
Have to believe we are magic. Don't let your aim ever stray. And if I survive, destiny will arrive. I'll bring all your dreams alive for you. I'll bring all
Boom, boom.
I do think she's performing
Boom,
Magic
boom,
on
boom,
that
boom,
song.
boom. She is. That is a fantastic song.
But I do love some Jeff Lynne.
Yeah.
So what happens when you take Jeff Lynne and you have Olivia Newton-John? This is what happens. Let's listen to some ELO and Olivia Newton-John on Xanadu.
a place where nobody dared to go. The love that we came to know, they call it Xanadu. And now, open your eyes and see.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we're going to go back up just one more time on Xanadu.
Made us real. We are in Xanadu. They are for you. A million lights are dancing, and there you are, the shooting star. An everlasting love, and you're here with me eternally. Xanadu. Xanadu.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Unbelievable.
Must listen to that one very loud after we're done doing this. So it's been referenced quite a bit. So now we've come to
The
it.
time has come, huh?
We're going to talk about the record Physical. I didn't know this at the time, but that record obviously is her best-selling record. Is Physical.
Okay.
It's the I wonder where Grease would be compared. I'd have to do a comparison for that. But as far as her records, they're Olivia Newton-John. Yes, highest selling record. And it's not just that. It was on Billboard Hot 100 for 10 weeks.
Yeah.
It's the biggest song of that decade.
Yeah,
Was
for
Physical,
sure.
just so you know. And I also didn't know at the time, her partner had made a video record. It was the Lemonade of its time for every song. So every song had a video.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, see, that's why. I mean, because you saw so much of her. That's why this guy's
And
freaking
Bryan,
out about it.
There was MTV in 1981.
No, of course there was. I'm just trying to think if I had MTV in my home.
But you would have seen it peripherally. It would have happened.
That's what I'm saying. I think that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Is that it was I think it even went beyond MTV and was just a video that was somehow played. I think
Right. Well, there were
Saturday
television
morning
shows-
cartoons.
There were like stations, like the public television stations that played videos and did have programs and stuff like that. It did exist. Maybe in your area that happened.
Or there was some kind of Saturday morning situation where they would show music videos or something.
I know in New Jersey we had that kind of thing from New York. But anyway, this song was originally intended for Rod Stewart.
What?
Think about it. Let's get physical. Just think about it.
I don't think I do want to think
And
about
then it was offered to Tina Turner, and she turned it down.
Oof.
That was a mistake.
Whoops.
But her manager was the same manager, or someone that was associated with Tina Turner also worked with Olivia, and they played it for her, and she knew it was a catchy song. But she was, I think, a little concerned about the content, but not totally, but a little bit concerned. And no, they thought it would be funny to be able to handle that content by saying like, well, you could be, because at the time the workout scene by what's her name, Jane Fonda was like huge. So they're like, well, let's just make it about aerobics. And you were talking about that video, but let's listen to the song and then we'll talk about it a little bit.
Okay.
Let's listen to some Physical.
I'm saying all the things that I know you'll like. Make a good conversation. I gotta handle you just right. You know what I mean.
I mean, I'll say it worked on me because as a kid, I'm like, oh yeah, it's about exercise. I'm not thinking about physical.
Yeah, I thought it was about exercise too. by the
Yeah.
way. Yeah.
So they did a good job
Yeah.
switching it up.
Let's go back up just one more time on Physical.
Took you to an intimate restaurant. Then do a suggested movie. There's nothing left to talk about. Let's horizontally. Let's get physical, physical. I wanna get physical. Let's get into physical. Let me hear your body talk. Body talk. Let me hear your body talk. Let's get physical, physical.
I was mouthing those lyrics to you. Did you ever know that that's what she was saying? That's so funny to me that you never knew. So what did I mouth to you?
No, let's get horizontal.
She said, there's nothing left to talk about unless it's horizontally. It's like the funny thing about that to me, though, is
Wait a minute, what is she saying?
it's like she doesn't want to go to the movies. She's like, let's I don't
go
want to have
do
like,
this.
Like, come on. Like, I've been really polite. I've been really trying to be having nice conversation, which is so funny. And because like we all know that we don't have to do this preamble when you're female with a male. Like, this is not necessary to make them comfortable to get to that situation. If it was very assertive, I think it would happen. It might scare them actually, but it would be fine. So maybe in the 80s, I don't know.
Yeah, a little taboo.
But I just loved that, if you talked about the video, but in the video, it starts off with like hot guys, but the person she gives the most attention to are not the hot people. You need to rewatch it. You know what I'm talking about?
I just remember her being like up high on a pedestal, like doing the workout. But there are a lot of like, sweaty people in it,
Yes.
mostly dudes,
Yes.
as I remember, with headbands and wristbands.
Yes.
It's great. It's a great video. I loved it. Oh my God. I used to sing this song endlessly.
I have to say, out of her songs, I do like it, but I've just heard it so many times. Like,
Of
it's
course.
hard for me to hear.
Yeah.
The other song on this record that I would love to play for you. So I said there was 3 favorite songs.
Okay.
This is the last one of the 3.
All right.
So remember, there's Magic,
Yes.
A Little More Love. And then this one, which is Make a Move on Me.
Getting the keyboards, getting the synthesizers up in there.
But I love the beginning of this song. I only played the beginning because I don't love the beginning of the song. It's just so unassuming. Like, you're like, oh, yeah, you know. It sounds like the beginning of a Jane Fonda workout, actually. That's how they started. Like, when she'd be walking into the studio, like, ding, ding. 'Cause I did those workouts, and I remember it sounded very much like that.
Yeah.
But the thing about this song is it's just deceiving. It's just like, okay. Yeah, we're just kind of building up slowly. And this song is more suggestive, I think, than Physical.
I was going to say.
And much more like she can't
She's
wait.
breathy.
Listen, she really can't wait. So this song, I'm going to go back up on it, is Make a Move on Me.
There just might be another way. Won't you spare me all the charms and take me in your arms? I can't wait. I can't wait. I'm the one you want. It's all I wanna be. So come on, baby, make a move on me. Got nowhere to go. All my time is free. So come on, baby, make a move on me tonight. I can't wait.
Nice.
Dude,
It's catchy.
so catchy. So great. This album I listened to, I would say cassette back when I was a kid. I listened to it so much.
Nonstop,
Oh my
right?
God, so much.
Yeah.
And I have quite a bit. I pulled out the vinyl yesterday. I have quite a bit of it here too, so it's nice. I don't have this one on
Still
vinyl.
from your original collection as a child?
No, not that stuff. But like I do have some of her early works on vinyl, which I'm happy to have, including Have You Ever Been Mellow? For dang sure. So, because like I said, it was one of my favorites. I am so glad we got to sit around and listen to music by her. I'm so sad that she's not here.
Yeah, it's too bad.
And I'm sad that she had to suffer through cancer. But I'm glad that she's maybe in a better place and not
Indeed.
suffering or being in pain. And her music will live on. It's very
course.
beautiful, and I'm so happy to have it. And yeah,
And you
it was
should be
so,
too.
Like, I'm getting emotional just thinking about trying to like calm down. Like I didn't think I would get emotional. I instantly did. I'm like, yeah, I'll start crying about Olivia. I won't do it. No, it's been such a great gift to have her music. So
For sure.
and I think go listen to a whole bunch of her records. Go buy some of her records. Go just,
Dress up like her.
Dress up like her.
Get physical.
Watch the movies. Enjoy. It's a fun time. And thank you for it. As ABBA says, thank you for the music.
Yes, Olivia. Thank you.
Yes. And there's way more records than that. And John Farrar did one more record with her after that. I think that was the last one. And then many, many more. So please dig in. But I just wanted to stop where it was the height of my interest because, and also I can't cover everything. We'd be here for 3 hours.
We would. And I'm wondering, is there Olivia Newton-John documentary?
I have watched, I'm sure I've watched the Behind the Music, and I'm sure I've watched anything I could find on YouTube I have seen before.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to get into all the gossipy parts of her life because there's a lot of them. And I'd rather just talk about that part.
Yeah, no,
So
sure.
that's kind of why I didn't do that. But I also would say, as a suggestion too, enjoy all that. But once you're done with that, if you're still needing more Olivia, Juliana Hatfield put out a record of covers only of Olivia Newton-John. She did a whole Olivia Newton-John record, and it's
great.
such a great. I'm
Yeah.
not one to love a cover record, but I will say that is the most beautiful tribute and gorgeous. And that song in particular that I just played
Yes.
you, she does wonderfully.
Yeah, she really does.
And so please go listen to that. I'll put a link to that as well in the show notes because it's a joy. Do yourself
Truly.
a favor and go have a joyful experience with Juliana
Truly.
Hatfield, showing her love for Miss Olivia Newton-John as well. Yeah.
Fantastic, Melissa.
I think that's
Good
it,
choice.
Brian. Thank you.
Well
Yeah.
done.
I was so excited about doing this. It was so hard for me not to talk to you about it last night, not to talk to you about it this morning. I was like, we got to do this right now. I'm going to die. Because I just wanted to listen to the music and kind of, do this with you. So thank you.
Great time of year to listen to it. And any time of the year listen to it. But yeah, sad that she's gone, but happy that we still have her music.
Yes.
And we had a good hour and a half of sitting and getting into it.
Wow.
So not an hour and a half, just about.
Okay.
So thanks everybody for hanging in there.
Yeah.
Well, you did it. It was
Yes.
great. You all made it. That was
Yes.
another episode of I Already Told You That.
And we'll get back into what we usually talk about music-wise pretty soon. We're not going to stay in the easy
This
listening
is still
vein, but I
music.
still wanted to talk about it because
No,
it's good.
it was definitely worth it. All right. Well, that said, we're all done. What are we going to go out on?
Well, we're going to hear a little bit more of that song we were just on because
Awesome.
you know that I did that chorus a few more times, and I'm here for it.
Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next time.
See you later.